Recently, there's been a bizarre disease breaking out in turtle species all across Florida. After talking with other biologists, Matt Metcalf from the Adopt a Rattlesnake video introduced me to herpetologist Jordan Danini, who works with turtles in the field. And we're about to join him to go check on the turtles and see if we can find out what's going on. Jordan runs the Southwest Florida Turtle Project, a research project that works with different turtle species found in his area. There's about 35 turtle species in Florida, and his project focuses on two iconic species, the rare diamondback terrapin and the awesome Florida box turtle. I want to get up close with both of these kinds of turtles, so I headed down to Southwest Florida to meet up with Jordan and Florida's wild woman, Christina Wilson, who's helping me film today. Our first stop is on a barrier island to set a net for diamondback terrapins, and we'll check back later for them. But while we wait, Jordan drives us over an hour away to a different habitat where we meet with two of his students, Claudia and Yoslin. Armed with poking sticks, we're going hunting for the Florida box turtle. This isn't exactly how I imagined we'd be looking for turtles, but by poking the grass and waiting for a hard thunk is actually the most efficient way to hunt for them. Claudia elaborates further on why all the turtles seem to be hiding.
When we used to find them back a few months back, it would just be finding them walking around, but usually since we're in the midst of dry season, we've been finding them, like at least like last month we found one only, but we found it hidden like under, like just digged into a dry shrub there, because since it's so dry, they're just trying to find some place to cool down and just be away from the sun there.
I'm used to finding box turtles out in the woods or in prairies, but these ones are in a coastal habitat. Why are they here and not in the pine forest?
That's a great question. Well, they are in pine forests down in this region, but this population, box turtles being the generalists that they are, has really kind of just adapted to what was available, and this was a nice niche that was opened up for them, and they're exploiting the water that's around, they're exploiting the food that is within the water and around the water, and they've really kind of become box turtles that are pretending to be diamondback terrapins.
So is there a possibility, Jordan, that this is a subspecies or maybe even a new species of box turtle?
I honestly think that us scientists are a little bit too caught up in trying to lump or split things when we really just need to be learning all we can about the ecology of organisms, and then we can worry about speciation later. Obviously, that's a very important tool in conservation.
Yeah.
Based on what I've observed and what we said, I don't think there's anywhere near enough evidence to consider this group a particular subspecies or anything like that. But they are certainly very unique, and who knows, maybe in 100,000 years when most of Florida's underwater, maybe being so aquatic will lead to something like that.
Gotcha. So are you saying that like actual taxonomy is not that important?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying a lot of times taxonomists get caught up in the naming rights as opposed to really looking at the life history. Genetics is important, morphology is important, but what the organism does in its environment is more important.
After an hour of searching, we finally find our first box turtle. And this one happens to have an old radio tag on it from earlier in the project. The battery is dead, so it's time to remove the tag from this turtle's shell.
His name is Handsome Dan. So this turtle's been tagged for about 2 years now. And he has reached the limit of his radio tag's battery life. So we're actually going to take the whole tag off of his shell so he can be free and done with the study. So he will be removed of his tag and released back in the wild, hopefully not to be bothered by us again for a long time. So it's going to look like I'm trying to murder the turtle, but I'm just going to take a little rubber mallet and a screwdriver. I'm just going to try to find a little bit of leverage to knock the tag off. And voila, there it goes.
As Yoslin releases Handsome Dan back under his tree, Jordan and Claudia give him a serenade to celebrate the end of his part in the research.
He really likes that one spot, it seems.
Okay.
We spent over an hour looking for our first turtle, and moments after releasing him, Jordan immediately finds another turtle. And I want you at home to understand how lucky we were for this to happen and get it on camera.
Turtle.
Yep, at least one. Voila. This turtle isn't a new individual to the project, but they haven't seen her in a while. So Jordan's team is going to do the turtle equivalent of an annual checkup on her, starting with a pregnancy test.
But she seems like she is doing pretty well. We're gonna check her for eggs real fast as well. So I'm doing something that's called palpation. So I literally just put my fingertips in here to feel her little, what we call the inguinal region between the two parts of the shell. And if they've got eggs, you can usually feel what feels like little tiny ping pong balls on the inside. She does not seem to have any eggs on her at this time, but she's definitely of reproductive size. She's just about big enough to actually lay eggs. So we'll keep an eye on her if we find her again, and maybe she will have some.
The next part of the workup is to get some lab samples for a particular virus. Claudia explains.
Okay, so basically what a rhinovirus is a majorly fatal virus for turtles, specifically box turtles, because they can cause fatal lesions and ulcers in the turtle's shell and skin, where it's so painful that they have a lifespan of about a week to live. For our project, we actually did not find any, symptomatic turtles. In general, we didn't find any that tested positive for rhinovirus, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't any out there. There could be cases of false negatives, but in our area necessarily, there are other researchers that have found positive rhinovirus. So it is here, but just in our project necessarily, we didn't find any. We're doing 2 oral swabs today. One for Fraser virus, which is a new virus that there's not much information on, so we're just trying to see if there are traces of it out here. And normal to the normalcy that we have is for the rhinovirus, which is the one we normally track.
So the second oral sample is specifically for an emergent virus called turtle Fraser virus. It wiped out a bunch of freshwater turtles in Central Florida in the springs. It's never been detected in box turtles, but doesn't mean it's not in them, so we want to take a look because a soft-shell turtle was recorded as positive with it in this area, so we just want to be ahead of the game with our surveillance.
Because many different kinds of pathogens can move from species to species, tracking the spread of viruses and bacteria provides an important window into the health of not just box turtles, but other different turtle species found throughout Florida.
We know that there are a couple of different pathogens that affect box turtles. We have not seen evidence of them in this population, but a lot of them are asymptomatic and they have it as carriers and it doesn't necessarily affect them. This is also an important reason why if you find a turtle, you shouldn't just pick it up and move it wherever you want, because they may have a certain lineage of pathogens that's harmless to them, but if you move them to another population, they could potentially wipe out an entire population by spreading those diseases. These monitoring projects like this are super important to helping us understand the overall health of not only the turtles as a species, but the entire ecosystem.
When I first talked with Jordan about filming, he stressed to me the importance of his students' involvement in this kind of field work. For students like Claudia and Jocelyn, this gives them crucial field experience and even opportunities to interact with the media and talk with the public. And after seeing how involved they were throughout the entire process, I was really impressed. Jordan is doing his best to set them up for success in the future, and I personally find that really inspiring. As far as our lab results go, our turtle tested negative for any of the pathogens that they were looking for. And seeing that is positive to understanding the threats that they face. And hopefully it stays that way. So I'm Zak Cole, this is the Florida Box Turtle, and thanks for checking out what makes Florida so wild. I didn't forget about the terrapins. Jordan did catch 2 of them, but I had a personal emergency while we were filming that required me to leave early. I really want to go back and try again with Jordan, and if that's something you'd like to see, let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much to Jordan Danini, his students Claudia and Jocelyn, and Christina Wilson. There's a link in the description for the Southwest Florida Turtle Project, and you should be sure to go check them out. And until then, I'll catch you on our next adventure.